I found out my wife was sleeping with my younger brother on a Tuesday night. Not because someone told me, not because I suspected it. I found out because I walked into my own house and heard them laughing in my bedroom. For a few seconds, I just stood there in the hallway, frozen. My brain refused to understand what my ears were hearing. My wife's voice, my brother's voice, the two people I trusted more than anyone else in the world, and they were together. But to understand how everything collapsed that night, you need to know what my life looked like before it happened. Because the truth is, if someone had told me a year earlier that my wife would leave me for my own brother, I would have laughed in their face. My name is Daniel. I'm 34 years old. Before everything fell apart, I had what most people would call a good life. Not perfect, not glamorous, just stable. I worked as a project manager for a construction company in Colorado. The hours were long sometimes, but the pay was good enough for my wife and me to buy a modest house about 20 minutes outside Denver. That house meant a lot to me. It was the first real thing I had built for myself. But the center of my life wasn't the house. It was my wife, Emily. Emily and I met 9 years earlier at a friend's barbecue. She had this calm energy about her, the kind that made people feel comfortable immediately. Not loud, not dramatic, just warm. The first thing she ever said to me was, "You look like someone who hates small talk." I laughed and said, "You're not wrong." That conversation lasted 5 hours. 4 years later, we got married. Our marriage wasn't perfect, no marriage is, but it felt solid. We supported each other. We planned things together. We talked about having kids someday, traveling more, maybe even moving closer to the mountains. The kind of future people imagine when they say they found their person. And then there was my younger brother, Ryan. Ryan is 5 years younger than me. Growing up, we were inseparable. Our dad left when Ryan was still a kid, so in many ways I felt responsible for him. I helped him with homework. I taught him how to drive. I showed up to every one of his baseball games in high school. He used to joke that I was half brother, half second dad. When he was 24, he moved to Denver after college and got a job at a marketing company. Emily and I helped him settle in. Soon it became routine for him to come over for dinner once or twice a week. Emily liked him. Everyone liked Ryan. He was funny, easygoing, the kind of guy who made people laugh without trying. Looking back now, those dinners were the beginning. But at the time, everything felt normal. Ryan would sit at the kitchen counter while Emily cooked, stealing pieces of food from the cutting board until she smacked his hand with a wooden spoon. "Get out of my kitchen," she'd laugh. And I would sit there watching them, thinking nothing of it, because it was my wife, and it was my brother. Why would I ever think anything was wrong? If there were warning signs back then, I didn't see them. Or maybe I did, but my brain refused to process them. The first strange moment came on a Sunday afternoon about 6 months before everything collapsed. Ryan had come over to watch a basketball game. During halftime, he went outside to grab something from his car. A minute later, Emily followed him outside. They stayed out there longer than expected. 10 minutes passed before Ryan came back in. "Where's Emily?" I asked. "Oh, she's just outside on the phone," he said casually. At the time, it seemed like nothing. But after that day, small things started piling up. Emily started texting more often. Sometimes she would tilt her phone away slightly when I walked into the room. Ryan sometimes texted her directly about dinner plans instead of asking me. There were moments when I came home from work and found them already talking in the living room. Nothing inappropriate, just comfortable. Too comfortable. I ignored all of it. because the alternative explanation felt impossible. Until the night I saw the message. It was a Friday night. I came home late from work, and Emily was already in bed scrolling on her phone. When I came out of the shower later, she had fallen asleep and her phone lit up on the nightstand. I wasn't trying to snoop, but when the screen lights up in a dark room, your eyes naturally look. The message was from Ryan. I wish we could tell him. My chest tightened. Tell me what? I hesitated for a long time before picking up the phone. Emily had never hidden her passcode from me. Our phones had always been open to each other. That was the level of trust we had. Or at least, I thought we did. When I opened the conversation, my world started collapsing. Dozens of messages, weeks of conversations. Some were innocent. Others were not. One message read, "I still think about last night." Emily replied, "I know. I feel guilty, but I also can't pretend I didn't want it." My stomach twisted. The deeper I scrolled, the worse it got. Late-night conversations, private jokes, references to times they had seen each other earlier that day. Then I saw a message from Ryan. "I hate that he trusts me so much." Emily replied, "I know. That's the worst part." I looked over at Emily sleeping beside me, my wife, and suddenly she felt like a stranger. That night, I didn't sleep. The next morning, I confronted her. "How long?" I asked. The coffee mug slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor. When she realized I had seen the messages, she whispered the answer. 6 months. 6 months of lies. 6 months of dinners, family gatherings, and normal conversations while they were secretly betraying me. Then I asked the question that mattered most. "Are you in love with him?" She hesitated. "I think I might be." Later that morning, I drove to Ryan's apartment. When he opened the door and saw my face, he already knew why I was there. "How long?" I asked. 6 months, he admitted. At one point, I asked him if he loved her. "Yes," he said. Hearing those words from my own brother felt worse than any physical pain I'd ever experienced. Then he dropped another bomb. "Our parents already know." They had known for 2 months, and they said nothing. That night, Emily packed a bag and left to stay at Ryan's apartment. I sat alone in the house we had built together, listening to her car drive away. 2 weeks passed. Then Emily's sister called me with shocking news. Emily was pregnant, and there was a chance the baby could be mine. Or Ryan's. When Emily and I met to talk about it, she admitted something surprising. Ryan wasn't the man she thought he was. Once the secret was gone and reality hit, he became distant, avoiding conversations about the baby, acting like the situation was unfair to him. A few days later, he even told her she should consider other options, meaning abortion. That argument caused Emily to leave his apartment. Eventually, we took a DNA test. The day the results came back, all 3 of us sat in the doctor's office waiting. My heart felt like it might explode. The doctor opened the folder. "The biological father," he said, "is Daniel." Me. The baby was mine. Ryan left shortly after that, disappearing from the situation completely. Emily and I stood alone in the parking lot afterward. She asked quietly, "What happens now?" I looked at her for a long moment. "I'm going to be part of my child's life," I said. "And us?" she asked. I took a deep breath. "I can forgive you," I said. Hope flashed across her face. but I continued. Forgiveness doesn't mean we go back to what we had. Her eyes filled with tears. I don't think I can be your husband again. She nodded slowly. That's fair. But we can still be good parents, I said. And for the first time since everything happened, I felt something close to peace. My marriage ended. My relationship with my brother may never recover. But in a few months, my child will be born. And that child will know one thing for certain. No matter how messy life becomes, their father showed up.